And then, in a ballroom veiled in gold and senility, the former president opened his mouth and history blinked.
Did he just say Putin lost 51 million people in World War II?
Yeah, and apparently he did fight too. What is this? A fever dream?
51 million? That's not a slip, that's a full-blown neurological reboot mid-sentence.
Imagine being in that room, watching your leader confuse math, history, and diplomacy in one breath.
Meanwhile, the room sat in dead silence, which is honestly the most respectful response possible.
I'm starting to think he gets his world history from watching reruns of the History Channel, drunk edition.
To be fair, at this point his speeches are less political and more like interpretive art.
He did fight like it's a character reference in a courtroom. Putin, guilty, but brave.
Every time he opens his mouth, I feel like I'm watching an alternate timeline unfold in real time.
There's something poetic about confusing Stalin's casualties with Putin's war record. Poetic and horrifying.
The best part, his followers will just nod along like he's quoting scripture. It's not just a mistake. It's a public brain fog moment. Like watching someone walk off a stage that isn't there.
This isn't gaffe territory anymore. This is cognitive collapse meets open mic night.
If you listen closely, you can actually hear the neurons misfiring in HD.
But this was only the beginning. As the silence thickened and the cameras rolled, something even more surreal was about to unfold. History is written by the victors, but sometimes rewritten by those who can't remember it.
Honestly, I expected him to say Napoleon was Putin's uncle at this point.
The worst part? Half the room probably Googled did Putin fight in WWII, just to be sure.
It's like he pulls random names and numbers from a cosmic bingo cage.
51 million is such an oddly specific number for someone who clearly has no clue.
Maybe he confused civilian losses with vibes.
It's like watching someone confidently walk into traffic with a history degree printed on toast.
The man thinks Putin stormed the beaches of Normandy. I can't.
You can practically hear Sean Hannity backstage, dry heaving into a flag. He's playing Mad Libs Dictator Edition. Putin, 51 million, World War II nailed it.
It's always the confidently wrong that hits the hardest.
This is why presidents should take history tests before being handed a microphone.
We're no longer in the did he just say that phase. We're deep in the he believes this era.
Imagine being Putin and waking up to find out you lost 51 million people, 70 years before you took office.
I keep waiting for Ashton Kutcher to walk out and yell punt, but no, this is real life.
And in that heavy silence, between breath and bewilderment, the crowd remained frozen and not in awe, but in sheer disbelief. There's forgetting, and then there's obliterating reality on a global stage.
At this point, his brain is just ad-libbing history like a drunk improv troupe.
He's not even wrong in the usual way. He's wrong on an intercontinental time-traveling level.
Every sentence feels like an unpaid intern accidentally pressed shuffle on world events.
When your grandpa messes up a fact, it's endearing. When a former president does it, it's terrifying.
How do you mess up World War II that badly and not burst into flames from sheer embarrassment? Cognitive collapse. Honey, that ship sailed, sank, and is now a tourist attraction in his mind.
This man thinks Stalin is still alive and hosting late-night talk shows.
We're watching a mind disintegrate like a wet paper towel under nuclear stress.
Forget history books. Just hand kids a transcript of the speech and let them piece it together like a horror puzzle.
Though our reality shows more grounded in truth than this fever dream of a monologue.
He's not writing history, he's detonating it with every breath.
Someone get this man a nap, a globe, and a muzzle. In that order.
Imagine being the speechwriter who quit 5 years ago and still gets blamed for this nonsense.
The room didn't gasp. It didn't jeer. It simply shut down at the global equivalent of turning the TV off mid-sentence. When language fails and reality folds in on itself, only one sound remains, the creaking echo of history laughing from the grave.
Next time, he'll say the moon bombed Pearl Harbor and JFK led the invasion of Normandy.
This man is one hologram away from declaring victory in the Battle of Mordor. He's entering that stage of madness where you just nod and hide the sharp objects.
Every speech is now a psychological horror film with no resolution, just vibes and confusion.
Somewhere, a history teacher just resigned by smoke signal.
It's not just misinformation anymore. It's existential fan fiction at this point.
A man saw a Wood documentary once and thought it was a Marvel origin story.
In 10 years, his followers will swear Napoleon was his running mate.
There should be a warning label before his speeches may cause dizziness, temporal dislocation, and spontaneous despair.
Even Orwell would have thrown his pen in the air and said, "No, too much."
America's greatest threat isn't China or Russia, it's the black hole forming in this man's prefrontal cortex.
And still, they clap. Because when the curtain falls on reason, absurdity takes a bow to thunderous applause.